1290 Super Duke GT, and this is the fuel pump. Works on all the Super Dukes and the Super A's too. Kind of amazing that something so small can pump 26 gallons an hour, it's about 100 liters, and propel your pink ass down a 2-lane road at 150 miles per hour. These pumps are not, however, immortal. They do fail from time to time. Mine gave up at 30,000 miles, and the replacement, like this Quantum, is still going strong at 20,000 miles later. In my case, and maybe in many failure situations, it could have actually been the fuel filters, not the pump itself. We'll get to that. First, pump failure systems are usually surging, lack of power, no starts, and sometimes a pump failure code on the display. Clogged filters might do that too. I was on a trip when mine failed, and I found that if I kept the tank full, it ran with less surging, and I was able to limp home for 200 miles. Let's look at the dollars. KTM would like to sell you the entire pump assembly for $582. They don't sell the pump itself as a separate part, but they do offer the filter set. You can buy a complete pump overhaul kit directly from Quantum for $169. Rottweiler has it for the same price, at least lately. You can also buy just the pump itself for 90 bucks. The filter set KTM does sell retails for $182, which is a stupid bad deal. Quantum has them for 91 bucks. So buying just the filters rather than the entire pump and filter kit is cost effective. KTM has no recommendation on how often to change the filters, but Quantum recommends 18,000 mile intervals. They say ethanol in the gas degrades the filter material. For 91 bucks, it seems worth it to change them just to avoid worrying about it on a trip. It's not that hard to do, and here's how I do it. Before I start, I disconnect the ground side of the battery and throw the bolt across the garage. I'll just drop it in the guts of the bike anyway. I like to get it over with. The pump is in the tank on the left side of the bike. Remove this trim panel to get at it. 2 T30 torque screws. Looking at the bottom of the tank here and the pump assembly, this is the tank, this is the pump. These 4 T30 torques hold it in place. This is the output line. It goes to the fuel injectors. To disconnect it, there's a quick disconnect here. Just push that tab in and wiggle it apart. This is the power ground. To disconnect it, there are little tabs here. You push them in with a pick or a small screwdriver and wiggle this apart. This is a fuel petcock that drains this side of the tank, and this, I don't know, maybe is a little trick part of this. Like most motorcycle tanks, the Super Dukes is an inverted U on the inside profile. So to keep both sides of that U balanced, they use this rubber cross feed that comes from the other side of the tank. If you disconnect this, which you will have to do to drain the tank, gas will flow out of this one and out of the petcock. So to control that, you can turn this petcock off and drain this, or on the other side of the bike, on the right side, there's another petcock identical to this. You can turn that off and then drain them separately through this hose. It depends on how much gas you have in it and what you've got to drain it in. I have to be a little bit careful because I've got the crash bars on. I can't get a funnel in here, so I like to put a plastic tube on each one of them and just drain the gas so I don't spill it. I neglected to mention that when you pull the pump, there will be a little splash of gas in the bottom of the tank, so have a rag or a towel handy to do that. In any case, I got a little of it to run down my arm. I'll get back to the pump disassembly and reassembly in a second, but first let's look at what the rebuild and filter kit contains. This is the full pump rebuild kit, and I'm only doing the filters this time. So they give you the pump, which I'm not going to use this time. They give you the 2 filters. This one is called the teabag filter. It's the inlet filter called tea bag for obvious reasons. It looks like a tea bag. It mounts to a little post, and there's this tiny little lock washer or star washer that you got to keep track of. This is the inline filter. It's the outlet side of the pump, so it's the high pressure side of the pump. This is a replacement pipe that goes from the outlet of the pump into this filter. And they give you various O-rings for the filters. They give you a fuel pressure regulator for the fuel injection system that gets it down to the pressure that the fuel injection needs. Small O-rings for the pipes, and two large O-rings, one slightly larger than the other. The larger one goes at the base of the pump. The next one goes at the bottom of the pump where it mates to the mounting flange. This little device is called a grommet. Goes in near the bottom of the pump, and Quantum says it's to help the pump maintain pressure, but I'm not so sure. It looks like some kind of an anti-vibration device to me. Anyway, so that's all the stuff that you get in the kit, and now we'll go to disassembling the pump. Disassembling the lower pump is straightforward once you've got the upper chamber off. There's one little trick part of it. This screw that fastens the ground wire to the frame is not a Torx, and it's not a Phillips head. You can get it out with the right size slotted screwdriver, or I just use a pair of vice grips and back the screw out. Otherwise, this screw comes out and that screw comes out and the whole assembly comes apart. This is the lower pump disassembled, easy to get apart. This is the tea bag filter. I've got a little ahead of myself. I've already put the new one on, and it just comes off the bottom here, this little post, and you push it on and then set that little lock washer in place. Now the grommet part seems a little tricky. When you pull the pump apart, it'll fall out and you won't know what the orientation is. But the orientation, there's only one way it can go, and that's it. So it kind of wraps around the tea bag filter, and then these tabs fit into these slots milled in the base of the pump, and the whole thing just goes back together. It's pretty straightforward. You really can't get it out of orientation. As far as the wiring, you really can't get it wrong. The terminals are only two of them. The positive is marked. It's got a small little positive there, but it's the kind of reddish brown wire that goes on the positive, and the other wire goes on the negative. And you can tell it's right because the negative is also the ground, which attaches to the frame of the pump. One small thing to watch for when you put the upper chamber on is that this slides down and clicks on the two tabs. There's a little separator there that provides insulation between these two terminals. Just make sure that that little separator goes right down between them. This is how the upper chamber of the pump works. I've already put the new regulator on, and this is the new filter. The fuel comes in from the pump through the little pipe, which has also been replaced. New O-ring, comes into the filter and flows out through the filter and pressurizes this entire chamber. Then I think the way the regulator works is just a relief regulator, so it keeps the pressure in the chamber at the correct pressure for the fuel injection system. Then it flows out of the chamber through this hole here, and the fuel pipe, it's an aluminum fuel pipe, new O-rings, goes in here, and then that goes into the pump body. There's only one place it can go. The way the upper chamber assembles is pretty much foolproof. The filter goes in, got the spring in there, the spring fits in that little indent. And then the lower portion of the filter, I guess you could call it the cap, goes in through this gap. You turn it and you can feel it clicking into place. And then you just pull it down and kind of worry it in until this is flush. When this is flush, you know you've got it right. And again, if you need to get this out of here, just put a small screwdriver in these slots and pry it out, and you can lift the whole cap off. And the final assembly of the pump is to put the fuel pipe in. It goes down in that little hole. There's only one way it can go, and you'll feel it seat against the O-ring. And then put the upper chamber on. Again, only one way it can go. There's the hole for the fuel pipe. So you line that up. And then make sure that the little spacer goes between the two wires. You may have to fiddle a little bit to get that to work. And it's snapped into place, and the pump is ready to put back in the bike. Goes back in the same way it came out. Just a couple of notes on these two filters, and I've cut it open to get a better look at it. First time I changed these, this filter, the T-bag, was white after 30,000 miles. It didn't show this discoloration. I don't know if the discoloration is from dirt or from ethanol or just age or whatever, but the T-bag filter definitely looks blacker than the first one I took out. The inline filter, the high pressure filter, shows some discoloration. If I look down in there with a magnifying glass, there's definitely particulate dirt in there. So filters definitely do catch stuff, so good idea to change them.